Welcome to Ask Pastor Craig. Today's question is, do I have to vote? My guess is this comes from coming up on the election season and this kind of wondering, wait, do I have to vote? And my simple answer that is going to likely upset several people is no, you don't have to vote. There is nothing in the scriptures that says it is a biblical imperative that you have to vote to stay saved or to be a saved Christian. There are brothers and sisters around the world who don't have the opportunity to vote, and they are still just as much Christian. There are Christians here who maybe don't vote. I believe they are still Christians. So do I have to vote? If you're asking brass tacks, can I be saved and choose not to vote? I would say yes, because your salvation has nothing to do with your voting record. But I would also encourage you to vote. I think it's really imperative that Christians make their voices heard. I think you have what I would call more a civic responsibility to go to the polls, to be an educated voter. And as voting records are public, if anyone pulled mine up, they would see that I vote in every election. But here's the thing. I don't always vote for everything in that election. There are certain times I come to certain races and I don't know any of the people running. So rather than just randomly spraying my vote towards someone that might not be a good candidate, I might withhold my vote on that piece of that election while voting for other things. So maybe this comes from, hey, I don't like any of the candidates in my local city council. Do I have to vote? Or likely it might come from the presidential coming up. I don't like the candidates. Do I have to vote for one or the other? I would argue, no, you don't. No one can force you to pick these things. You can simply say, I don't like either candidate. I don't understand this issue enough. I'm not going to vote. But if it's an education piece, I would encourage you to get educated and then make the best decision you can. I don't like when people tell other Christians, when Christians try to say, if you're a Christian, you will do this. If you're a Christian, you will confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus Christ is Lord. And you will love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And you will love your neighbor as yourself. And anyone who tries to add to that is adding to the gospel of Jesus. And they shouldn't do that. You shouldn't add to the gospel of Jesus Christ. So I can't sit here and say, do I have to vote? No, you don't have to, but I hope you do. I hope you consider the races before you and that you engage in the ones that you have a strong conviction on. Maybe you opt out of some that you don't have a strong conviction on, and you simply trust the Lord with the results. That's the last thing I would say. That don't let voting become this thing, almost an idol that you think this is going to be the way the Lord moves. It might be a way the Lord chooses to move, but it is my belief, and I think the scriptures would support, that God's plan A is never a ballot box. His plan A is the church of Jesus Christ, and there is not a plan B. And so while he may move through the ballot box, his main movement in this world will always be the church of Jesus Christ. Now, it may be Christians voting in a certain way, and I think we're better off when we have Christians engaged in politics, but that is not the way that salvation will come to this world. So just never go into the voting booth feeling that pressure of this is the way we say it. Nope. It is the cross of Jesus. It is his church. So should I vote or do I have to vote? I would say you have a civic responsibility to engage the political process well and with sound mind. But if you just have a burden and you looked at me and said, Pastor Craig, I have a burden. I am not going to vote. This comes from the Lord. I just can't do it. I'm going to trust your conscience in that because I can't point to anywhere in the scriptures that says you must do it. But it is a right. It's a right our brothers and sisters don't have around the world. And so I think if we aren't going to engage, we must do so thoughtfully. And if we are going to engage, we must do so thoughtfully. And that our default should be, I ought to engage this process, but that I must do so thoughtfully and as a Christian. I hope this helps.